This is Guru Focus Market Today, your afternoon market brief for Thursday, July 2. Here's where things stand.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at a record 52,900.07, lifted by optimism that the Federal Reserve will hold interest rates steady. This gain for blue-chip stocks came even as the Nasdaq fell 0.8%, weighed down by sharp declines in semiconductor and artificial intelligence-related shares, including Micron, NVIDIA, and Intel. The session's moves reflected a rotation out of high-growth technology and chip makers, even as the broader market found support from easing rate hike expectations.
Turning now to the latest on the labor market. The U.S. economy added 57,000 jobs in June, a figure that fell well below forecasts.
Despite the slower job growth, the unemployment rate edged down to 4.2% as labor force participation hit a 5-year low. These developments are tempering expectations for near-term Federal Reserve rate increases. This next story is about Tesla, which delivered 480,126 vehicles in the second quarter, surpassing expectations by about 73,000 units. However, shares of Tesla fell nearly 8% as investors focused on ongoing concerns about U.S. demand and broader weakness in the technology sector. Meanwhile, Meta Platforms announced plans to enter the cloud infrastructure services market, aiming to monetize its recent multi-billion-dollar investments in artificial intelligence and data centers. Meta shares climbed 9% on the news, though analysts cautioned that the move could pressure the company's historically high profit margins. Another story we're watching is Google's defeat in a major European legal case. Alphabet's Google must pay a €4.1 billion or $4.67 billion fine after Europe's top court upheld findings that it abused Android's market dominance, concluding years of antitrust litigation. Also making news today, Micron Technology reported third-quarter revenue of $41.5 billion, far exceeding forecasts. The company also signaled continued robust demand for memory chips driven by artificial intelligence, boosting its own shares as well as those of key suppliers like Lam Research. Turning to the auto sector, Ford Motor reported a 10.3% year-over-year decline in second-quarter U.S. sales. The company cited the phase-out of Escape and Corsair SUVs, weaker demand for electric vehicles, and supplier disruptions affecting its F-Series trucks. However, Ford noted continued strength in its Bronco and Explorer models. On the IPO front, Jersey Mike's has filed to go public on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol JMKE. The sandwich chain reported 50% same-store sales growth from 2020 to 2025, and system-wide sales of $4.3 billion in 2025, as it plans further expansion in the U.S. and internationally. Elsewhere, U.S. mortgage rates have dropped to a 7-week low, with the average rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage declining to 6.43%. This marks the lowest level since mid-May and offers some relief for prospective homebuyers, though rates remain elevated compared to a year ago. Staying with the economy, the Northeast is experiencing a searing heat wave that has strained the region's power grid. Emergency measures have been activated, with cities opening heat relief centers and utilities reporting outages as record temperatures are expected to persist into the July 4th holiday. In related energy news, the PJM interconnection, which serves 67 million people in the Mid-Atlantic, has received federal approval for emergency measures that allow data centers to reduce grid load. This comes as surging heat and artificial intelligence-driven demand continue to test infrastructure capacity.
Finally, in corporate news, President Donald Trump's latest financial disclosures show he purchased shares in Apple, Nvidia, Alphabet, Amazon, and Microsoft just prior to announcing a partial reversal on tariffs, a move that contributed to a historic market rebound.
That wraps up today's market update. We'll be back soon with the latest market news. Thanks for listening to the Guru Focus Brief.